Right, next up we're going to Jamaica. I don't think it's that familiar with most people here. So Dan, why don't you enlighten us? Dan Symons from C3 Metals. You just raised $4 million with a strategic investor. You took most of it. Was it 4 million? 5 million?
4.5. 4.5. Yeah, 4.5 Canadian. We just closed just last month, so we're funded now for what we want to do for the next year.
Yeah. No warrants,
with our program. No warrants, done at market, no discount, private placement. So we were able to put that together.
Yep, go ahead.
Thanks, Christian, for having me here, and thanks for all of you for joining me today for the presentation on C3 Metals. My name's Dan Symons. I'm the president and CEO. I will be making.
Not working?
Oh, there we go. I will be making some forward-looking statements today based on the best data and information that we have today available. So I think it's really important to understand who people are when you're looking at making investments in the company and who they've done, what we've done in the past. We've divided our business. The two people really running the business day to day are myself. I'm 18 years in the industry, finance background, capital markets focused. I've been involved in M&A transactions, from selling mines to acquiring properties, to financing exploration, to financing mine builds. So that's been my background for the last 18 years. About half of my time's been spent on the exploration side, about half of my time with operating companies. The most important role in a company of our size and scale, because C3 Metals is in the exploration stage, is the head of exploration. And we're very fortunate to have someone like Steve Hughes as our VP Exploration with the company. Steve's been in the industry for over 25 years, and not too many people can say over 25 years and 14 projects he's been involved in the discovery and or delineation of over 34 billion pounds of copper and 47 million ounces of gold. We're a little unique as a small company, around 20 million Canadian market cap today, that we have a very high institutional shareholding. So we're up to 48% institutional shareholders when you add in insiders, and we have a ultra high net worth Jamaican individual as a 5% strategic holder. We're sitting with 60% of the shares very tightly held within the company today. Just under 77 million shares outstanding, no warrants, 3.5 million options. We're sitting with 5.5 million in cash, and two analysts covering us today in Beacon Securities and Paradigm Capital. So what's the value proposition where we sit today? I think just at the highest level, and the simplest way to say it, we have two district scale copper gold properties, one in Peru, one in Jamaica. Combined, they total over 500 square kilometers, so a very big area, and over 65 mineral prospects have been identified. Thus far, we've drilled into one to the point of a resource, and that resource has yielded us 52 million tons at 0.5% copper and 0.2 gold, which translates to 570 million pounds of copper and 326,000 ounces of gold. So today, the value of C3 Metals, the stock is trading at less than 2 cents per pound for copper in the ground, with 64 prospects left to go drill test. I'm going to spend the bulk of the time talking about Jamaica because not too many people are familiar with Jamaica as a jurisdiction. We're the first movers into Jamaica, and there's significant potential here. Not a lot of people recognize that the #2 industry in Jamaica is mining. And this is a long-standing industry. It's been going for nearly 75 years now. It's the bauxite industry. Bauxite mining is the #2 industry in the country after tourism, and it's a very close second in terms of revenue that comes into the government. Today, for an island of a population of 2.8 million people, there's $500 million to $600 million US exported annually, bauxite being the key mineral used in the production of aluminum. There's an aluminum refinery in the country. The mining law has been in place for over 75 years. It's been very well adhered to. It's based off British law as a former colony of England. And between the bauxite industry and quarry operations, because there's a lot of limestone quarry type mines in Jamaica, there's over 150 open pits today on the island. Because the bauxite industry has been going for nearly 75 years, the reserves have been in decline. And if you're the government, you start worrying, where's that revenue source going to come from if these finite resources run down? you also start worrying about where are these people going to work to keep that money flowing around the economy, since it's the second largest industry. So this is right off of the ministry's website. One of the mandates is to promote and encourage investment in non-bauxite metallic minerals as a means of diversifying the mineral sector. So we really think we're catching Jamaica at the right time. And if we look throughout the Caribbean, you can see Jamaica just south of Cuba, just north of Cuba would be just up off the map, is where Florida and the United States would be. But all through Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, there's sizable copper gold deposits, the most notable being the Pueblo Viejo mine that's operated by Barrick in the Dominican Republic. It's a very similar geologic setting all through the Caribbean. There's a fault that bisects and rips right through the center of the island of Jamaica that you can see here. We were the first movers into Jamaica. The ground that you see in the yellow is where we picked up right along this fault zone. This is where all the action is for copper gold prospects. And then a private company backed by who's now our strategic shareholder, 5% shareholder, Bobby Stewart. He founded a company called Geophysics. Bobby comes from a very wealthy family in Jamaica. He came in and picked up 40% of the island, or 4,000 square kilometers in mineral licenses. Following that, he became a shareholder of C3 Metals towards the end of last year. We did a deal with Bobby earlier this year in March, where now what you see in the blue, we've put into a 50-50 joint venture because it looked like we each had half of a gold system. And then in May, just 2 months later, Barrick Gold came in, and they're earning into 80% of everything else. So Barrick is now earning in to surround us in Jamaica. I think it's really important to understand who Geophysics is, Bobby's company. It's because outside of Jamaica, it's a private company, so a lot of people don't know who they would be. Inside Jamaica, they're a very well-known brand with considerable financial bandwidth. It's the #1 mineral tenure holder in the country. Bobby's the eldest son of Butch Stewart, who founded, some of you may be familiar with in the hospitality industry, with the resort chain called Sandals throughout the Caribbean. So that's the Stewart family. What we've done over the last couple years after coming in and picking up this ground, we've identified 16 porphyry, 40 epithermal, and multiple volcanic red bed prospects over a 30-kilometer strike extent. You can see down in the lower right here, as we zoom in on our property in the center of the island, these are some of the historic mines. You can see identified where they were in the 1850s when the British had come and colonized, and they were actually mining copper and shipping it back to England. The only modern day metallic mine you can see labeled here, the past producing Pennant's Gold Mine, and that's where we've done the joint venture with Geophysics and Bobby Stewart for this gold prospect. We're copper focused primarily, but it was too hard to ignore a mine that only operated 2 years with a very shallow pit of only 30 meters deep with drill holes on the maximum depth of 75 meters, that the mine was operating at 20 grams per ton. So very high grade gold. We've done a lot of surface work. We're going to be doing the first drill program here since 2004, starting in Q1 in this coming up Q1 January to March timeframe. We'll get going, and that's fully funded with this financing that we've just put in place. Over the last couple of years, since I joined the company about 2 years ago, our main focus has been on that 18 kilometers where you see the words Connors and Camel Belt. We've identified 2 main belts that we know now, we've confirmed, are host to multiple porphyries. There's porphyries clustered along these 2 belts. As we zoom in on the word belt, 4-kilometer area where we've started drilling, you can see we're getting long, broad intercepts of 0.5% to 1% copper equivalent, anywhere from 100 meters to 300 meter type intercepts in multiple targets. And what does this look like on a copper equivalent basis? And a good comp for us is the Filo de Sol deposit in Argentina, which is similar copper equivalent grade. If we take the geometry of that deposit, or the tonnage of rock, and we move it over to Jamaica and we plop it in along where we've been drilling, just to get an idea of what it looks like, you know, that's about 4 kilometers long. That asset just was acquired for $4.5 billion. So we have a lot of runway in front of us of what we need to do, but we think we have similar potential with the targets that we have in front of us in Jamaica. And again, it's not just the 4 kilometers, it's the 18 kilometers of the belt. If we move up to the northwest, into this area where you can see the blue hashed circle there, this is an area that we're really just getting going on. It's 8 kilometers by 4.5 kilometers. We have not drill tested this for copper yet, but in this area, every purple triangle you see here is a sample at surface over 1% copper. So this is a new and emerging district. It's a unique opportunity where, as a junior company, we feel like we have an entire porphyry belt in front of us with high-grade epithermal gold off to the western side of the property. We've partnered with a local business that is the leader in the business, and then that's attracted Barrick Gold. So that's a lot of upside potential to be unlocked by what we're doing in Jamaica, and we think we have the first mover advantage. And we think the downside in our valuation is really protected by what we have and what we've proven we have with the 43-101 resource thus far in Peru. Peru being the second largest producer of copper worldwide as a jurisdiction, huge portion of the GDP, amounts for 11% of the global copper production. We sit in southern Peru in the province of Cusco. We're less than 40 kilometers from MMG's Las Bambas mine, which is one of the top mines in the world. We're less than 40 kilometers from Hudbay Minerals' Constancia mine, their Pampa Concha mine, where they truck the ore over to Constancia for processing. First Quantum Minerals is here with a pre-feasibility stage project that looks, with the tons and grade, looks like that'll be a mine in the future. Further to the southeast, Glencore is operating. BHP in the light blue, Rio Tinto in the dark blue. They were not here 2.5 years ago as we were expanding our ground. They came in aggressively and been expanding ground on the western side. We sit in that tan color where we started with a 57 square kilometer package, and we've grown it over the last couple years to 300 square kilometers. And the reason we did that is we identified 2 mineral belts running through the property. On the eastern side, there's a series of smaller skarn deposits. We've identified 13. Thus far, we've drill tested 1. That gave us our resource of the 570 million pounds of copper and 326,000 ounces of gold. It's that yellow star you see there. But what we're most excited about is on the western side of the property, where it looks like there's potential for big tonnage and scale with good grade. We've just worked with the indigenous community who has the surface rights, and we have the mineral rights. We announced in August we have an agreement in place now to conduct our exploration. These are some of the rock chip samples that we're seeing. Over 2% copper in certain samples, over 1% in the porphyry with good gold credit. And we're in a position now, we're doing geophysics in the first quarter. We're getting the soil geochemistry next month. And then we're going to be in a position, realistically, second half of next year to be drill testing this for the first time. It's a brand new discovery. It's never had a drill hole in it by us or anyone else, but it's in a very prolific area for very, very big world-class deposits. So when you think about a 20 to 25 million market cap company supported by an existing resource with significant blue sky exploration potential in both Jamaica and Peru with what we have, that we have 48% institutions behind us, very well funded. We're going to be starting drilling here in the first quarter, so good news flow coming. And one of the things that I think is what I really like about how the company is structured, we have a diverse asset portfolio. It provides optionality, meaning we can bring in a partner on an asset, we can monetize an asset to fund the other. There's a lot of options of ways that we can move these projects forward, and we're exploring some of those. And that's a good high-level summary of C3 Metals for you.
Thanks, Dan. One question for me, like what would success in Jamaica look like, keeping in mind it's not the most well-known jurisdiction?
Yeah, I think in Jamaica, you know, what we're looking at is it looks like a porphyry belt. So, you know, we've identified 12 prospects. We've drilled into 4 of those. All 4 have hit porphyry mineralization that are at or higher than you know, operating mines today in terms of grade. So now it's about tonnage, and it's going to be a lot of drilling to get in and prove this up. But you know, this is a brand new emerging belt. So you know, you think of the belts in Chile or Argentina and some of these places. We think this is comparable, and we have 18 kilometers of it. So you know, for us, our targets are 200 million tons over 0.5% copper, but the potential here is for north of 1 billion tons if this all holds together.
Okay. Any questions from the audience?
Yes, sir.
Raymond?
Copper projects take a long time before they go into production. Sometimes they need like 20 years.
Yes.
What is your expectation on the
So I would say on Jamaica, the expectation, it's a long time to production, which is why, again, having diverse optionality within the portfolio. At the right time, it will likely make sense to bring in a major company partner to come in and invest some capital to help move that forward. You know, we're the first movers. We think what we're good at is recognizing early stage opportunities, consolidating ground, working with communities, and doing an initial phase to show what we have, and then at the right time we bring in the major partner with the big capital. Of course, they're going to want to earn majority positions, but at a 20 million market cap, if we have something here that's worth multiple billions, and we have even a minority of that, that's a big win for our shareholders, and then we're not investing the risk capital to prove that out.
Okay. If anybody has any questions, you're in room.
Room 4.
Okay.
Room 4. Thank you very much.
Small coffee break now. We'll be back in 15.